Hello, Stephanie. It is nice to meet you and be with you here.
Yes, thank you very much for having me.
So we're very interested in your work and everything that you do. And congratulations for your voice that is so amazing and reaches so many hearts. You say that in one of your books that we are all imprinted by everything that happened to us in childhood, of course, and all these unconscious aspects are revealed later in relationships. The relationship with our children mostly. Why do you believe that the child-parent relationship is the most vulnerable?
Actually, it's not a thing I believe, but there is a lot of scientific research about all that, so it's not my private opinion. But the current standard of science, psychological science and biological science, and that is due to the fact that when we are born, our brain is only developed around about by 25 to 28%. And this is mainly very basic functions like the regulation of temperature or the regulation of being thirsty or hungry, all these very, very basic functions. And all the higher brain functions, all the higher mental, cognitive, and emotional functions develop during our upbringing. So there are many, many synapses built when we, in the first 2 years and later years, many, many bridges, synapses, all the little streets and highways are built during the first years of our upbringing and some later years, of course. Our brain is fully developed round about when we are 20. But very, very important are the first years of living, because there the little child learns whether it is worth being loved and being cared for. Because in the first 2 years, children build the basic trust, or they don't build basic trust. And that is very much dependent on the way their parents or caregivers, first caregivers, treat the little child during the first years. And so the child learns in the good case, hey, they love me and they are happy that I'm here and they care for me. And this is the mirrored self-esteem. That means the parents mirror their child if they're happy with them and if they love the child or not. So the little baby looks in the eyes of his mother. Oh, mommy is happy, mommy is smiling, mommy, okay, I feel good, I'm worse. So that means our self-esteem is mainly developed in these first years in a very deep-rooted way, imprinted in our body feeling, because the first caregiving actions are very close to the body. That means you pamper the child, you feed the child, you stroke it, everything is very closely related to our body. So the little child, the baby, feels with its whole body whether it is loved or not so much loved, not wanted. And all these connections are built, and all these emotions around these topics of love and being welcomed and so on and so on and so on. So that is, you can see it like a computer. That is the configuration of our brain. And with this brain, we grow up. And with this brain, we look to see the world outside. So if your parents were overburdened for any reason, that they couldn't give you that love and care, they don't need to be perfect. They just need to be good enough parents. So if the parents were somehow overburdened to give their child the love and the attention and the care the child needed, the little child gets a feeling like, I'm not enough, I'm a burden, I'm not worth. Because a little child never thinks mommy and daddy should go to psychotherapy or parents counseling because they have a problem with attachment. But the only thing a little child can feel and think is, oh, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough. And these deep imprinted beliefs, how we call it in psychology, beliefs are, I say, the programming language of our self-esteem, our belief systems. We carry them over into our adult life, and there they function subconsciously, and that is why they work so well, because they are like patterns and we are not conscious, we are not aware of these patterns. When I think, for example, I'm not enough and other people are stronger than me, then this has a great impact on the way I see other people, on the way I behave towards other people, on all my strategies to cope with life, and so on and so on.
And how can parents become more aware of these mechanisms? What should we do?
I think the thing, no, that is also not my opinion, this is also research. The two things that are most important for parents are that they are present, that they are there, that they have time, that they spend time with their children, that they are emotionally and just physically there and present, so they don't give the children too early away to caregivers. That is not a good situation here in Germany. The tendency to give the children earlier and earlier away is not a good tendency. It's not so good for the brain development for the children. And the second thing is that they have empathy. And empathy means that they can feel quite well what is going on in my child. How is it feeling? Why is it sad now? Or is it maybe afraid, or is it ashamed, or whatever? So that the parents can read the children's emotions. And if parents are not so good adapt or capable to read these emotions or to give their children enough care and tenderness and attention, then something happens, and that is that the child will adapt to the needs of his parents. That means the child will take the responsibility to get along with the parents. For example, the child feels, oh, mommy is always stressed, and daddy is stressed, they're all very stressed, but I have to get along with them, and I need their love, otherwise I die. I need them, I really do need them. So I try to be a very, very nice child, very nice, always smiling, hello, mom, daddy, and make myself very easy to handle, very easy to handle. So in a way, the child takes the responsibility to get along with the parents. And that is the ground, the nourishing ground for all later problems in life. This over-adaptation to the needs of the parents.
And in your opinion, what are the first steps after you realize this intellectually? What should we do as a parent?
I think what is very important is to be aware of your own psychological program. That means, what did I learn during my childhood? Did my parents give me the message, you're okay, we love you as you are, although we don't accept always your behavior, but you as a person, you're absolutely lovable, and we take care for you? And I have the deep feeling and belief, oh, I'm okay, I'm with other people on eye level, I'm not smaller than they are, I have means to take some control and influence on other people. That means relationships are nothing I just have to endure, but I can help to shape. So I also have some influence and so on and so on. That is a positive case. Or was my learning rather, I'm not enough, mommy and daddy are not so happy with me, I don't feel like I was really loved as a child, and did I develop because of these beliefs like I'm a burden, I'm not enough, I'm bad, I'm too loud, I'm whatever. So to become aware, what glasses do I wear, which lenses I look through to see the world? Because if I have the feeling I'm not enough, I'm not okay, then other people seem to me bigger and stronger than I, and I'm often afraid they could reject me because I'm not enough. But of course, I want to avoid that they reject me, so I develop self-protection strategies. Self-protection strategies are simple behaviors that we often already develop as children to get along with other people. So if mom and daddy are too stressed, my self-protection strategy could be that I'm a very, very well-adapted child, a very nice child, a sunny child, that I try to meet the expectations of my parents to do everything right, that they feel comfortable with me. That could be one way. The other way could also be, I learned early as a child that I can't rely on anybody, that people are not trustworthy, and that I have to get along alone in my life. So then my problem is not to meet everybody's expectations, but then my self-protection strategy could be, I only rely on myself. And I try to make my way in this life, with elbows and, just to make sure that I get what I want, and that I will never be as dependent on anybody as I have been as a little child. So, for example, then I suffer from fear of attachment because I don't trust anybody. I never let relationships become too close. Yes, I can fall in love, but not for a very long time, because very soon my old pattern starts. Don't trust anybody. Don't let people come too close, and so on and so on. Mm-hmm. And these are the self-protection strategies. So it's very interesting. And the first step, what are my beliefs? What do I think? What I am worth? How's my self-esteem? And what do I think? What I have to do to be loved or just to be liked? And the second step is, what do I do? What is my compensation of this? I speak of the shadow child. In my wording, these early imprints and the negative imprints are the shadow child, this inner child. The inner child is a metaphor for all our childhood imprints that we gathered in our brain, this child programming. So in my approach, I call it the shadow child, and the shadow child has its beliefs like I'm not enough, and the shadow child has his self-protection strategies, like, just as I mentioned, striving for perfectionism, to do everything perfect, to meet everybody's expectations, or striving for a lot of power and control, so never let happen what happened to me as a child, and so on. So these are the self-protection strategies, and actually are the self-protection strategies the biggest burden for our relationships. And that is not only true for two people who meet as a couple, as neighbors, as work colleagues, but also for countries. Because this principle, yes, of that I project into the world something, you know, that I think maybe I'm not enough worshipped here in the world as a country, so I have to see, you know, to fight and take control over other countries and so on, are the same psychological patterns and dynamics as between two people. And that is the reason why I say that this job of personal self-reflection, which actually means to think about what is my imprint, what are my beliefs, what are my self-protection strategies, is not only a hobby, you know, for menopausal women, but a political necessity. Because if all the world, everybody in the world, would be on a high level of self-reflection, the people would be much wiser. And wise people don't start wars.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, they're closer to their inner truth, and so their absolute truth. I love that in your books you have this practical experience. I believe that also, that we can learn only through experience. So how important is, in your perspective, to practice whatever we perceive intellectually?
Yes. The first step is always this insight. You know, you have this learning. Okay, I got it. It's not that I'm not enough, but that my parents had some trouble to raise me in a healthy, psychologically healthy way. So I thought as a child I wouldn't be enough, and still I believe this. But actually, that is completely arbitrary. Completely arbitrary. If my parents would have been a little bit different towards me, acted differently towards me, I would have developed different beliefs. So it's arbitrary. These beliefs don't say anything about my self-esteem or my worth as a human being, nothing. So that is the first step. But then this insight has to be learned a little bit deeper. And then we come to the sun child in my approach. And the sun child is a clear vision of my healthy self, of my authentic and healthy self. So if I had a belief like I'm not enough, I should change this belief into a positive belief like I'm enough. And if this sounds too big for me, I can shape the belief into I'm enough for my children, or I'm enough for my friends. So the belief has to be shaped in a way that you can agree to it. Say, yes, that sounds reasonable, yes, to me. And then you look on your strengths and resources, yes, and everything that is good in you and good in your life, and you look for self, not protection strategies, but self-reflection strategies. That means instead of striving for perfection and doing everybody a favor and meet everybody's expectations, I try to be more honest and try to stand a little bit more up for my needs. And therefore, it is necessary in the first step that I feel my feelings, that I feel my needs, because over-adapted people struggle with this because they always have their antennae outside. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? So they lose contact to themselves and don't feel themselves anymore very well. So they don't feel their boundaries either, because they don't feel what is too much for me and what not, because they are not used to pay any attention to their own feelings. And all these things are beautiful exercises, to answer your question, yes, to exercise, to get in touch with my feelings again, to exercise my sunchild. That means that I, more than one time a day, I reflect on, okay, I'm enough. I'm enough for my children. I'm good. I've made many things right in my life. I am allowed to stand up for me. I'm allowed to make my own decisions, and so on and so on. As new positive beliefs, for example, to remind myself of my strengths and resources and also things I can be grateful for, to remind myself of maybe higher values are very important. Higher value can be fairness, to be a fair person, because if I have the self-protection strategy to always keeping the peace and not say anybody what I really think, nobody has the chance to behave right towards me, because they have no idea what I really want. And that is not fair, because actually peacekeepers who are very shy of conflict to protect their shadow child from injuries and that somebody could aggress them, they cannot be at the same time a very honest person. That is not possible. You know, either I try to protect myself, yes, and I'm always, you know, under my magic hat and nobody can see what I really feel and what I really think, or I'm an honest person. So this higher value of being fair or being honest can strengthen me, can give me a lot of strength to be more open, to talk to people, to give them a chance and so on. So I give a lot of advice and help and ideas and a lot of self-reflection strategies for my readers to develop a clear vision of their authentic self and a healthy behavior towards other people and healthy beliefs. And yes, just to not to change themselves, but just to become who they really are. So it's not about self-optimization, but it's about becoming your true self. And to learn that you are good enough, you know, to accept yourself and to create let me say a benevolent relationship to yourself, you know, that you like yourself. Love is too big, this word is too big for me, to self-love. But to say, I'm happy that I'm here and I vote that I'm here. It's okay that I'm here. I'm allowed to live and I'm allowed to enjoy my life, and it's okay. I'm okay.
This self-acceptance to provide for ourselves with a place in our hearts.
Yes.
How important is acceptance? Because I've seen this concept in your books, and I believe that also that we can heal, if I may say, by saying yes to everything in our lives. How do you feel about acceptance? How important is this concept?
Yes, I mentioned already the shadow child and the sun child. What I didn't mention yet is our adult I. And our adult I is the metaphor for our clear thinking, for the seat of reason. That is not about feeling, it's just about clear thinking. Our reason, that is a metaphor of the adult I. What I have to do is to create a little space between my adult I and my shadow child. So actually we are two, my adult I, clear thinking, and my shadow child. And with my clear thinking as an adult person, I can understand and I can reflect, okay, my belief systems, my shadow child is a result of a quite arbitrary and random way I grew up, because my parents were as they like. And it's not about blaming the parents. It's not my intention, parents blaming. It's just about, look, what were your conditions when you grew up? What was your setting? What was your surrounding? What are your imprints? Just to get to know how your brain is highly subjectively shaped, and to understand the idea that this is arbitrary. Other parents, other beliefs, and I would have been the same child, or my parents under better condition, I would have been the same child and would have developed much nicer beliefs about me. So it's completely arbitrary. So that's the first step. And then this adult I, for example, me, I'm a woman, so I'm my own mommy, talks actually to this inner shadow child of me and says in a very, very loving way, oh, my dear little Steffi, that wasn't always easy with mommy and daddy. Mommy was often so overwhelmed. She had hard times, to take care of you because there were so many other children, and she was really busy to keep up for everything and to earn money and take care. And oh yes, and then you thought, my little Steffi, you thought not mommy is totally stressed out, but you thought and felt, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm too much, I'm a burden for mommy. Oh, so, and then you get into self-healing, because you create a very emotional connection. And with this emotional comfort your little child, and you explain the word to him, and you tell him in this dialogue, listen, if mommy wouldn't have been so overwhelmed and daddy would have had more time, then you would know how much they love you and they're so proud of you. They're so happy with you. Yes, so what you actually do is a self-healing, that you convince yourself on an emotional and on a rational cognitive level, both, that you are okay and that you just got the wrong messages. And most of the times, these messages were never the intention of the parents. They just couldn't do better at that time. They just couldn't do better. They often do their best, but they have also their shadow child within themselves. So they're with their own shadow child. They are mother and father and try to do a good job. And in this process, you can alter your thinking and your feelings about yourself. And then the most important exercise, which I call actually my Stefanie Stahl mantra, is catch yourself and switch. Mm-hmm. That means in your all-day life, you suddenly feel, for example, a typical sense of anger. And because you did your exercise, you created your shadow child, you're aware of your shadow child because you made the exercise in the book. And now oh, anger could be shadow child alarm. Maybe my shadow child I'm on the shadow child mode. And then you switch. Now you caught yourself. You just caught yourself. Something here, I'm on my shadow child mode. And then you switch to your adult mode. And then you create this little distance, then you are in the observer position. And from the observer position, you look on yourself from the outside and say, ooh, be careful. That was just your working colleague, and she had a little advice for you. That is all. She's not denigrating you. No, she's not looking down on you. It's not that she doesn't respect your work, no? Because these are the shadow child eyes. The shadow child thinks, oh, my work is not respected. She's denigrating me. She thinks she's better than me. That could be the shadow child mode, yes? But as soon as you catch yourself and look onto yourself from the observer position, you can suddenly become aware, no, everything is not the case. They are just your old belief systems that were triggered right now. And your working colleague, which is, by the way, a very nice and tender person, she just gave you, for one aspect of your work, a little advice, and that's all. And then you can regulate yourself. Mm-hmm. Then you can stay on your adult mode and handle the situation as an adult person and say, maybe, thank you for informing me. It was a very good advice. I will think about it, and thank you very much that you paid attention. So instead of sulking, draw within, draw back, blah, 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 you know, bashing and so on and so on. So catch yourself and switch is the most important exercise for your everyday life. And many people, so many people who do this regularly, yes, often in their normal lives, tell me the more often they catch themselves and switch to the adult I, the less often the shadow child shows up. Because you rewire your brain. You're building new ways and new paths for synapses. You build new paths for new behavior, because that is all what is learning about. Learning, either you learn a new language, or you learn an instrument, or you learn a special dance, whatever, is about repetition. You have to repeat the things, repeat vocabulary, repeat your exercises on the piano, repeat, catch yourself and switch, you know, and act with your new beliefs. And the more often you repeat, the deeper your imprints will be for new behavior and new feelings and new perception.
And maybe, of course, that small child that appears often feels understood by you appearing with the self or the adult part of yourself as you see it. So maybe it gets the parenting that.
Yes, and first of all, it feels that somebody is aware and sees it, because what we all really like, everybody in this world, and what we are all striving for, is that somebody is aware of us, that is recognized, that we get recognition, that somebody sees us. So the adult I is aware and gives this little inner child, the shadow child, attention. But what is most important is that the adult I is in the lead, not the shadow child. That is like with physical little children, as a natural little children. Maybe the child said, "Mommy, I don't want to go to the dentist," or "I don't want to go to school. I don't want." And then the mother doesn't say, "Okay, then we don't go to the dentist, my honey. Oh, you know, you don't need to go to school, honey. If you don't want to go to school, you don't need to go to school." No, the adult mother says, "Okay, I see that you don't like to go to the dentist, and I know it's a little bit, maybe might be pain, but I will go with you. I will help you to handle the situation." Yeah, that is the way we treat our physical children. In the same way, we should treat our inner children. That the inner child might have an opinion. It is allowed to be afraid. It is allowed to be sad. But the decision, what we are actually doing, is making the inner adult and not the child.
Mm-hmm. How about the couples relationships? We get in relationships with this inner child, because you say in your book that very often we confuse being in love with the fear of being abandoned. How can a person be aware of this internal fear if this person is very strongly identified with the inner child?
Yes, also I distinguish between, let's start differently. We have 4 basic needs, psychological basic needs. And that the first need is the need for attachment and security. The second need is for autonomy and control. The third need is for self-esteem. And the fourth need is that we want to avoid bad feelings and that we want to get good feelings. Yes. And this very, very important for all relationships, whether romantic relationships or every other relationship ever, is to have a good balance between our need for attachment and our need for autonomy. But many people are a little bit out of balance. There are people who are more, whose inner balance is more skewed in favor for attachment. They always need attachment. They feel insecure if they don't have a partner or somebody who's close with them. And other people's balance is more skewed in favor for autonomy. They feel safer if nobody comes too close to them, if they only can rely on themselves. So the people who are more in favor for attachment are these who are sometimes inclined to be a little bit clingy, yes, they need their partners, they idealize them, they just can't let go even if the relationship is very unhealthy and very bad. And the people who are more on the autonomy side, they're inclined to avoid relationships or just be close and far. They have often heavy changes of closeness and distance. And both is not very good. And it's very, very important to develop an idea. Am I more the attachment type or more the autonomy type, to work on these programs and to get into the balance? Because well-balanced people, they can do both. They can adjust to other people, they can give in, they can trust, they can cooperate, they are able to show empathy, to feel what other people feel. These are all skills you need for attachment. And the skill set for autonomy is very different. For autonomy, it's not about what do we have in common and what can I do that we get good along with each other. But for autonomy, the question is, where are we different? Where I want to go my own way? Where do we separate? So for autonomy, I need to know what I want. I have goals. And for goals, I need a clear feeling. I need a good connection to my feeling. What do I want? Then I have to stand up for my needs. I have to discuss. I have to fight maybe, or maybe even separate. If somebody stymies my autonomy too much, I have to separate. And the first healthy separation should be the separation of my own parents, which doesn't mean that I don't love them anymore, but that I dare to live the life I want to live, to go my own way and not to fulfill the expectations of my parents. So to answer your questions, for relationships, it's very important to see, am I more the attachment type, and therefore I cling too much, I idealize my partner because I don't want to separate, or am I more the autonomy type, so I always keep a safety distance, I look very critical on my partner, so that I don't develop too much feelings, because too much feelings would make me too dependent. I avoid dependency.
Mm-hmm. It's often considered that we have to heal first before having a happy relationship with someone. What's your opinion towards that? Do I have to heal and afterwards get into a couple, or because I hear that often?
I think this posture is too strict. I think this attitude is too strict, because a good relationship can give you a lot of healing. So many people heal within their relationship. Many people who, for example, have an issue with trust, and when they meet a partner who is really loving and caring and give them the room to learn trust, or people who tend to be very, very jealous, yes, which is the same issue. Actually, they don't trust, heal within a healthy relationship. So if everybody had to be healthy to be in a relationship, there would be almost no more babies born, or no more parents and families, because healing is a long life term, long-term life issue. You know, you always develop and develop until you die. And so I think this claim is just as strict. But the point is, if your relationships always fail, or if you stay for a long, long time in a very bad and unhealthy relationship, then the best solution has to come from within yourself. For example, people who suffer from fear of attachment, fear of commitment, these are quite a few, often think, oh, I haven't met Mrs. or Mr. Right until now. I just need to find the right partner, but the right partner will never show up, because as soon as they start to engage in a relationship, their old pattern comes up. This fear of commitment, this fear of being, you know, manipulated and, you know, totally, now I'm missing words, to be absorbed by the partner, or to lose your own freedom, or the fear of loss becomes so strong, the fear of loss, that you prefer to leave your partner before he leaves you, and so on. And these issues you have to solve within yourself. Then you can't wait for Mr. Right, because Mr. Right will never show up.
And how about saying yes to the inner children in our partner? What's the fine line between accepting our partner's shadow children and taking care of our own?
I think if you're aware of your partner's shadow child, then you can keep calmer and you can be much more tolerant. Mm-hmm. But the path is very small. Mm-hmm. Because some people, and I mean these people who are more on the attachment side, excuse and excuse and excuse their partner's behavior because they suffer from such a tremendous fear of loss, and they are so afraid for being alone, that they excuse, with the excuse, oh, my partner, he had a very, very bad childhood, and his shadow child is, you know, is very mistreated, and this is so lonely and so sad, and so on and so on, and allow that they are treated badly. And this excusing the partner always, and always having empathy, avoids that they separate. Because for separation, you need a healthy way of aggression. In German, we say Trennungsaggression, that means aggression for separation. Yes, you need to, you know, if you're, many people, instead of becoming angry because their partner behaves very badly, many people become sad. So the sadness suffocates their aggression. But they need to have aggression to say, no, you don't speak to me in this way, and you don't behave anymore towards me in this way. Yeah, that is healthy aggression. And now I said, stop, it's enough, I go now. You know what I mean? This is the healthy way of aggression. And but if your inner balance is very skewed in direction of attachment, you don't have this aggression. Your fear of loss is so much bigger than this healthy way of self-assertion and, you know, determined to go your own way in life and to separate from this.
That's a powerful message, and I thank you for all your work and your time. Do you have a message for the Romanian readers, for your readers?
My message is actually a quote of my father, who passed away, unfortunately, a very long time ago, but I had a very loving relationship to him. And he always said, what use is a miserable life? That means that there's good sense of humor. That means give yourself the permission to enjoy your life. Just, you know, look that you enjoy your life. Don't work all the time or don't worry from all day long, but just try also to enjoy your life, because the more you enjoy your life and give yourself the allowance to enjoy your life and to do things that you like and that you enjoy, the more relaxed you are, because you get into a better mood. And the better your own mood is, the nicer you are. I mean, everybody knows this phenomenon. When we are totally stressed out, yes, we think there are only idiots around us. Yes? Where are the idiots there on the street? Yes, because we are so stressed. But when we are happy, best case, we are freshly in love, then we wonder, where have all the idiots gone? You know, you're a much, much nicer person when you're well balanced, when you enjoy your life. So self-reflection is very, very important. Of course, I give your readers or Romanian people, like everybody, this advice, but don't forget to enjoy your life at the same time.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.